Are you that server who currently goes into his job every day and it's coming out only 15 to 18 to 20%? And you're doing everything right. Like everything. You're pre-busting tables, you're smiling, you're greeting the customers ASAP, you're doing all the right things. But those tips really just aren't averaging above that 20%. Well, my name is Jonathan. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're gonna solve all of that. Today, we're gonna be figuring out how to get that 23 to 25% average. Now, as I said, my name is Jonathan. My current average tip is about 25 to 7%. On a bad day, it's around 23%. But on average, I would say 25% is my current average tip. Now, the restaurant I work at, I'm the highest average tipped worker, which is really exciting. And so today, I just wanted to share some of those tips online that you don't get anywhere else. I've seen all the YouTube, I've seen all the articles online. You're not going to find those anywhere here. I got 5 primary tips to share with you guys today. All right, and at the end, we'll do some tips that everyone needs to know, pre-busting your tables, that kind of stuff. Not super useful, but just things that everyone needs to know. All right, tip number 1, all right, you need a freaking script. All right, I know this isn't like a sales class, but it also kind of is. You need a script to get that consistent experience and that consistent average to that 23, 25%. If you wing it every time, try to act different for every table, you're gonna stumble over your words. You're not gonna be able to do it correctly. Now, if you have a script, you're gonna be perfect every time, right? And of course, once you get used to the script enough, you'll be able to change it minutely for every single table that you come encounter with. And of course, because tables really aren't all the same, but once you get good at it enough, it'll come naturally. So, there are 3 different scripts. The first script is gonna be greeting the table. The second script is gonna be checking up on them. And then the third script will be closing. All right, so let's go with the first script first. That's gonna be greeting the table. Now, you want this to do ASAP. Everyone already knows that, right? You never wanna wait around for your server for 5-6 minutes and the customers are already upset when you encounter them. So greet your table ASAP. And typically, what most servers do, they'll come in, hi, my name is Jonathan. Can I get you guys started with anything today? All right, that's the average 18, 15, 20% server, all right? You're gonna do a couple of things a little bit differently, all right? The script is just gonna be a little bit different. You're gonna go in, hi, thank them for coming to your restaurant. Thank you for coming to, I don't know, Bob Evans. My name is Jonathan. It's gonna be my pleasure to serve you guys today. How are you doing, right? It's just a couple more things that really changes the experience right away. They say they're doing amazing, and you have one key question that you ask after that. It's kind of a game changer. You're gonna ask, have we been to this restaurant before? Have we been to this restaurant before? Now, people are always looking for ways to create more rapport with your customers, and this is a great way to form that connection right away. This is first contact, first impression, right away, forming some connection, forming some rapport with your table. So we're gonna ask, have we been to this restaurant before? Now, if they say no, here's what to do next. All right, if they say no, they've never been, this is their first time. At my restaurant, we get a lot of first timers. It's very important that we make a good first impression because then they're gonna bring more people back because the food was so delicious, the service was so amazing. They're gonna refer you to their friends and their friends are gonna tip you high, they're gonna tip you high. All around goodness, spreading the love, right? Spreading the love. That's because you make a good first impression and do an amazing job. So the script for once they say they've never been here before. Quickly go over what the restaurant stands for and something unique about the restaurant, right? So the restaurant that I currently work at is an Indian Mexican fusion. So I would say, have we been here before? They say, no, this is our first time. Wow, well, we're so happy to have you guys here today. This is an Indian Mexican fusion restaurant. Now, what does that mean? That means that the food that we're gonna taste here today is gonna be very unique. Indian Mexican is extremely rare, and so when we taste the food today, our taste buds are just gonna blow up a little bit, all right? I'm giving you guys some forewarning, it's delicious, the place is packed tonight, we're gonna love it, all right? You kind of build that excitement up for them just in advance, and then you go say, can I get you guys started with anything to drink, or it's their first time, recommend something, or just give them a couple minutes if they would like that. Now, they say they've already been here before, super easy day. Oh, we're so happy to have you guys back. Can I get you guys started with any drinks or appetizers? Easy day. All right, that's the first script. All right, second script is gonna be when you go up and check up on them. So everyone knows this. You check up on your table like 2 to 3 minutes. They say 2 bites or 2 minutes. after your customers get their food, you go up say, typically you say, oh, how's the food? Now that implies a good or bad answer. How's the food means you can say it was good or it was bad. Now, energy wise, you control the energy as a server, right? They say match the energy of your customers, and typically kind of yes, but you control a lot of the experience. You're almost a show person to a way lesser degree, right? You control that experience of energy, that hypeness, and when you give them that energy, that involvement that you have with them, like the happiness, the excitement that you feel for them, they're gonna get excited just naturally and the food's gonna taste better. So that's just the way it works. So when you check up on them, don't go and say, oh, how's the food? I personally tell them, tell me the good news, right? That means one thing, the food is amazing, it was amazing, or it was amazing, right? Tell me the good news, as in no bad news. No bad news. So tell me the good news, you give them some excitement, tell me the good news, they say, oh, it was perfect, it was delicious. And after that, be specific, all right? Remember what your customers ordered, especially if it was unique. Like, oh, did we get that buttered chicken with no masala sauce on it? Oh, like, for instance, we have a very unique specials list of our menu, and we often advertise it as like, oh, we have a buttered chicken that doesn't taste like butter chicken. So you'll go and like, tell me how's the butter chicken? Did it really taste like butter chicken? They're gonna be like, no, like the spices were so amazing, it was so good, we loved it, right? Easy day. And then that just shows that you care for them. And everyone loves to feel like they're cared for. Everyone loves to feel special. So when you make that customer feel special, tips, and more tips. All right, and that final and third script is gonna be closing. A lot of the time people will drop off the check, then you pay, drop it off with a pen, and say, thank you all so much for coming, have a great night, something like that, or just leave it with no words at all. Don't say that. You need that last impression to be good and special. You go in, you say, hi, you guys are all set to go now. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. It was really my privilege to serve you. I hope you come back soon. Have a fabulous rest of your evening. All right, it's just a couple things more, but it leaves that happier, nicer impression, and is more than a typical server would do, right? You just want to differentiate yourself from every single other server, and that's just a great way to do it. All right, rolling into tip number 2. So tip number 2 is actually gonna be another script. We're sticking with the scripts today. Scripts are very, very important. So scripts and knowledge, that's what we're gonna go for next. You need to know how to recommend items on your menu. Very, 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 very important. All right, a lot of people don't get a lot of first timers, so not as important for you then. But if you are getting a couple of first timers every here and now, you need to know how to recommend items on your menu, or if someone wants to try something new. Know how to recommend items, like I've said it like 10 times now. So I hope the point is processing here. Now, there's a script for this, and it's gonna be different for every single person. There's no unique script, but what I'd recommend is split your menu up into 2 or 3 sections. All right, 2 or 3 sections. Simplicity is key for the customer, especially if it's their first time and they're overwhelmed by how many options there are. Like, well, I kind of want one of everything, right? They want to try one of everything, but they don't know what to get, what's good, what's bad. Typically, your regular server who, gets that 15, 18, sometimes 20% tip, if the customers are just being nice, they'll be like, oh, I like this item, and this item. Okay, that's great. Are you me? Nope. Tell me why, tell me more. Like, upgrade the experience. That's what everyone does, right? It's almost kind of useless. Now, sometimes, like, they are generally good recommendations, but it's just not enough information, and I get it. Sometimes we're just crazy busy. But if you just have a couple more minutes, split it into 2 or 3 sections. So, for my personal menu at my personal restaurant, we have, as I said previously, as a Mexican, Indian fusion, right? So you could have like fine and dine and like more chill, like you're all American, or I don't know, you have like your steaks or your chickens. You could like split it up in a couple different ways. What I do personally is we have in a very exotic section of the menu and a very simpler section of the menu. So we have like fajitas and tacos. Everyone loves fajitas and tacos. No one doesn't love fajita and tacos. They're just a little bit different. I recommend to our customers, especially our first timers, I'll say, oh, this is our first time, we want to try something safe but a little bit different. Tacos or fajitas, I'll maybe recommend one of them. Like one special chicken tikka tacos or salmon fajita. However, if we really wanted to get that epicenter of fusion that we came here for, we have our specials. And then these specials are, homemade. You won't find them anywhere else. And you give a couple examples. For instance, as I said previously, we have a butter chicken that does not taste like butter chicken. Customers love that. They dig it up, they love it. When they have it, and when you recommend it and they love it, chef's kiss, tips, tips, tips. Through the roof. So split it up into 2 simple sections for the customers just to interpret. There'll be a lot of other side items that don't matter as much that, maybe recommend when they come another time. Because you want those primary items to come first, and then, when they come back, they can try some lesser good items, right? All right, tip number 3, energy, energy, energy. All right, energy is a lot of the key to what makes people happy. When you're lively, you yourself are happy and you project it on them, they're gonna reciprocate, they're also gonna be happy back. Now we can do this in a bunch of different ways. The first one is to just, when the people order their food, if you can't make people laugh and joke super easily, one super easy joke is when they order their food, just tell them how good their choices were, right? Be like, wow, I didn't even recommend these items. You guys got the best things on the list, something like that, right? It's super easy, super simple. It's good vibes, good energy, and the customers will love it. They'll be like, oh, we got the best menu items. Of course, if you got the worst ones, don't say that. Then they're gonna have expectations. And when the food comes out and they don't like it, not so good, right? Then you stay away from that table till the very end. No, I'm kidding. Then you take extra good care of them from that point on. But we can do this in a bunch of different ways as well. As I stated previously, having a script is really good. You're really good at communicating with them. I like projecting that script. And if you can project that script well, it'll bring energy. For instance, when you check up on your table, tell me the good news, right? Automatic energy there. Good vibes, the customers will like it, you'll like it. So just energy, energy, energy. People don't go out for a bad experience. They come out for an experience and the food, right? Actually, sometimes they don't even come out for an experience, but when you provide that, tips, 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 right? They're not expecting anything, and you give so much, they're gonna compensate you more than you can imagine, All right, that's gonna be tip number 3, short and concise. Moving on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is a more common sense tip. It's gonna be know the food and know how to give good recommendations. When you are good at giving good recommendations and narrowing down what the person would like, it's so easy to get a bigger tip, right? Of course, that by itself won't give you a bigger tip, but when you go through that script of recommending items and then they can narrow it down by themselves and choose a good item, and then maybe you help narrow it down. If you have a lot of time, you can go into spices or into the background of foods. So know your food and know how to recommend well. And when the customers love the food that you recommend, it's so easy to go from there. And with all that we've been talking about, tips, tips, tips. All right, it just keeps on going up. This all accumulates to that 23, 25% tip average if you do this every time, I promise. All right, last tip. Tip number 5, 4 and 3 were really concise. Tip number 5 is gonna be an accumulation of a bunch of tips. These are more for first timers. You're going in, little tips and tricks that just make the experience better. So number 1 is just gonna be when the food's taking a while, if the place is packed, just go ahead and let the people know, oh, I'm checking up on your food. It's gonna be about this much longer, or thank you guys so much for being patient. Your food is coming, we're just really packed tonight. If you say that at least once, your customers are gonna be very happy. If you say that twice, even better. But this is if you say it twice, it should be at least a 30-minute wait, right? Maybe one at 20 minutes, one at 25 minutes, right before your food's about to come out. Just get them a little bit excited, oh, food's about to come out, get ready, guys. Also, when the food is coming out and they order appetizers, make sure to collect the plates. Always collect the plates because it leaves room for the customers to eat at the table. Sometimes if your restaurant's really, really packed, they're a table of 6 is squished into supposed to be a table for 4 because they just really, really, really want to sit down and eat. So just make sure you're pre-bussing, as in always taking stuff out every time you go there. And when you see that their food's coming out, you should try to do this. Of course, when it's too packed, it's a little bit harder to do this when you're too busy. But try to make sure that if their appetizers are done, they're taking away all the plates. Everything is taken away before the food comes. That way they have a nice pile of room. All right. For desserts, always bring plates and spoons. Whenever a dessert comes out, always make sure to ask for dessert as well at the end. Sometimes it's a hassle to make, but of course you'll make more money from it. And you never want some person calling after you, oh, like, we want a dessert, and you have to like run back, right? So always offer, just so they don't have to ask you or anything. Because sometimes the people at the table, like one person wants dessert and then no one else really does, so he's too awkward to like ask you personally. But then when you ask him, he's like, oh yeah, like I'm not mind dessert at all. And then that's when you go and say, oh, of course. Even when everyone else says no, then it's your job to sell the dessert to that person. Tell them how good it is, tell them how amazing it is, tell them why you should get it. Now, another tip, friends with the host. Being friends with the host is super good, so make sure to make extra efforts to be friends with the host. The host can seat you the most tables, can roll silverware for you if you're good friends. It can just save you a lot of time, make you a lot of money. Now, of course, don't screw anyone over doing this, and it should never happen. But every once in a while, they'll like slide you a couple of things and wink at you and like you're welcome, and it's just nice. So sometimes just try to make extra nice with the hosts because sometimes it's important. All right, next tip is gonna be pre-busing, as we said. Just always make sure you take something every single time you go to their table and refill everything before they need it. Put your shoes in the feet of the customer. Everyone's been out to eat before, I assume, and you hate it when you have a water, and especially in the beginning when you just hand out drinks. Some people will chug that and they're gonna need another one in like 3 seconds. So make sure you just keeping a low-key eye on that, because you hate being thirsty and your server not being there to refill it. All right, it's the worst type of experience you could get. People get impatient very easily, especially if the food is spicy and they really need water, and then the server's just not walking by, not refilling their water. So even before they ask you for water, refill their water. You see an empty glass or even partially empty sometimes, if you have time, go fill it up, right? Super common sense, but do stuff before they ask it. It'll mean the world to the customer. All right, that is gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope this helps some of y'all, and let me know when those tips get that above 20% average. Now, of course, this can't be done overnight, but over the next week, 100% it works, right? 100%. It's worked for me, and I started working for just a couple of months. I started implementing this, and tips skyrocketed right away. So anyways, this will work for you. You got it, you can do this. Go get the money, get the bread, get the tips, serve your customers with passion and energy. All right, thank you all so much for watching. Till next time, have a great rest of your day.